I want to take a look at the Stanley number 12 veneer scraper. It's sort of the big brother, I think, to the Stanley 80, even though they're actually quite a bit different. It has a lot of heft. At least the one I have, the scraper blade itself is a square-edged blade, not a beveled blade like I found on my number 80. I've seen these with beveled edges. I've seen these with square edges. Mine seems to work fine this way, and so it's the way I've kept it. So I sharpen the blade just like I would sharpen a card scraper. I've got it up here against a piece of wood just to keep me at 90 degrees with the world, and I'm just sort of polishing down the blunt edge of the scraper blade to kind of a nice shiny 90-degree edge. Then I set it on its side, just scuff off any burrs that might be sort of left over from the last time I sharpened it. And again, I sharpen this blade like I do a card scraper. I've got a quick little animation I used when I was showing a Stanley 80. The 80 is a beveled blade, and when you run your tool across it, you bend a burr into it real easily. With a square bladed scraper blade, you're basically deforming the edge of the piece of metal, and sometimes actually you'll get two burrs, one on each side. Although I tend to I don't know, the way I hold the tool, I tend to get a burr on the far side way more than I do on the close side. So I just, again, treat this like I do a card scraper. I rub it with my tool, burnishing tool, till I feel a nice burr across there. And that's really all there is to it. Now they say you should put the blade in the plane from the bottom so that you're not dragging the burr by that clamping mechanism. You see I'm showing that clamping. I've actually got the handle off of this so you can get a little better view of it. So they say you should slide it in from the bottom so as not to damage the burr, and then set it on the work just to get close at least, tighten that down, and you've got your blade secured. Now you can see how this moves. Because of these two wheels, you can see how that moves. You can move it quite a bit, from 90 degrees probably beyond 45 degrees. And you can see as I move that, you can see the blade moving in the mouth of the plane. And what you do is when you set the blade just touching the work and then start to tip that blade, you'll just start engaging the work and you get a super fine shaving. It's a beautiful tool as well. It's got a beautiful rosewood handle, almost chrome shiny screws holding that on, lots of brass. It's just a beautiful piece of work. It's nice and heavy. It's got a ton of heft, and it's really a pleasure to use. As I do with all these tools that have threads, I like to put just a little bit of paste wax on it. I like to wet paste wax on the bottom of the plane as well, just to reduce friction on the sole and to have everything working and moving smoothly. It just makes the plane more of a pleasure to use. So again, you just get it started, take a few passes, and make an adjustment, take a few more passes, make an adjustment until you're getting just feathery thin shavings off the wood. Because this does not flex the blade like a Stanley 80 or like when you're using a card scraper, you tend to get it, I don't know how to say it, it acts like a leveler. It's meant for veneer, so it makes sense, and you will hear it as you're dragging it across that it's picking off the high spots and leveling the wood as you go. And honestly, I tend to pull it when I do at a slight angle, so there's sort of a shearing motion, and you can see those feathery shavings that are coming off. They're just super fine, and the wood is just about polished when you're done with it. Like the Stanley 80, like the Stanley 78, like the Stanley router plane. If you can find one of these at a garage sale or on eBay, I highly recommend it. Thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe. Thanks again.